The BOOreau Boys is an improvised detective serial. Every Monday morning, the BOOreau Boys solve crimes based on clues sent in by their Pumpkinformants. That's you. Go to theBOOreauBoys.com to submit your clues. This month's spooky case is brought to you by Pumpkinformant Kevin, the case of the Tasteful Cabinet.
Ooh. Buried deep beneath the earth, the boys sit in their uncomfortable office chairs in the bureau office.
The chairs squeak like the squeaks of the vampire bat.
Their backs ache with pain.
As usual, a pipe drips in the corner like blood dripping from the fangs of a creature from the Black Lagoon.
We see Detective Potter has dark circles under his eyes, for he has not slept a wink in at least 2 to 3 days.
Detective Riley, I am beat from that last case, Detective Riley. I'm exhausted.
You've been having your nightmares again?
I have. It's kept me up all night. It's a recurring nightmare, Detective Riley. We're both in the desert, and the full moon comes out, and you turn into a wolf, and then I turn into a wolf. And you know what the most horrifying part is, Detective Riley?
Tell me.
Somehow, we make it from Hollywood Boulevard to the Hollywood Bowl as wolves. And then, even worse than that, Detective Riley, I look up onto the stage of the Hollywood Bowl, and the gin blossoms are playing, and that's when I wake up in a cold sweat.
Detective Potter, this is horrifying, but I have even more horrifying news to relay to you.
Please tell me.
Those nightmares, I believe they're real.
No!
They're real memories. They're your own memories.
No! Detective Riley, I thought... Oh, no. Oh, I feel like you're right, though.
Detective Riley gets closer to Detective Potter, cupping his swollen head in his brittle hands.
For his head is swollen like Frankenstein's head, and his hands are brittle like the bones of a skeleton.
Look at me, Detective Potter. You have to remember.
Oh, God. When you say look at me, it makes me think back to, remember when beams of light shot out of your eyes and pointed out the trapdoor underneath the floor of that Jack in the... Detective Riley, why am I going through all these...
and there was a witch.
That's right, a witch.
The witch.
The BOOreau Boys remember the spooky witch.
I'm sorry. I can't let you live in this delusion. We have to keep our sanity, our wits about us, if we're ever going to solve another case again.
You're absolutely right, Detective Riley. And you know what the thing that grounds me the most and keeps me the least scared is digging right into a new case. So, Detective Riley, what do you got?
Well, it just so happens I got a fresh case right out of the devil's oven right here. Detective Riley slams a thick case file right down on Detective Potter's desk.
Detective Potter jumps, for he does not like jump scares.
I'm sorry if I
You terrified me, Detective Riley. Please don't do that.
Detective Potter, this is a hot one.
Do tell.
It's called the case of the Tasteful Cabinet.
The case of the Tasteful Cabinet?
It sends shivers down my spine just reading the title.
That is the most terrifying case file name I've ever heard of, Detective Riley.
Well, we've only done 3 cases together, so look out, because I think we got a lot more in it coming up. But up to this point, this is definitely the scariest.
Okay, well, Detective Riley, let's open this bad boy up.
Detective Potter opens up a manila folder to reveal the contents inside, not unlike cutting open an alien during an alien autopsy.
They spread the pages like the sternum of a fresh corpse.
Okay, Detective Riley, here's what we got.
Hit me with that first fact.
Okay.
Right there at the top of the page.
Absolutely, Detective Riley. Do you know that house on Elm Street?
The one with the bars on the windows?
Exactly. Bars on the windows, Detective Riley. Cobwebs on the porch. Broken windows upstairs. Creaky doors, Detective Riley.
And the attic window?
Yeah.
And it has a little pentagram in it?
Yes, exactly. And they say if you look up at that attic window at 3:33 a.m. every single morning, there's a woman standing there in a tattered wedding gown.
Right, yes, the woman, the old pharmacist, the one who used to run the drugstore on
Maple Street.
That's the one.
The BOOreau Boys quake in fear, for everyone knows that Maple Street is the scariest of streets.
As the legend goes,
don't say it, Detective Riley. It scares me too much. If I'm going to plug my ears and you say it, I know the legend.
But I have to say it out loud because that's part of our process.
Yes, it totally is. But I'll watch your lips say it. It's like when you turn down the volume of a movie when you know a jump scare is about to come out and it's not as scary. So I'll be able to sort of understand what you're saying. Also, can you pantomime it?
Yes, I'll use my whole body. Also, let me put on my white gloves, and if you would allow me just a quick second to apply a little face makeup just for the full effect.
So Detective Riley breaks out his makeup bag and affixes a very realistic-looking scar that crosses across his eye, down his cheek, and under his shaggy beard.
Plug those ears, Detective Potter. Here we go.
I can barely even look at you, Detective Riley. That scar is horrifying. It's so realistic. How did you learn how to do that?
When I was sold into the circus, my mother was broke, and she couldn't get any clients. I had to paint myself as I was the little scarred boy.
Oh.
That was what people from far and wide came to see, was the little scarred boy. They would look at me and leer, and it's, that's all. They would leer and laugh and you'd throw popcorn and, well, you know how the circus goes.
Yes, I'm so sorry to bring it up, Detective Riley. By all means, get to the legend of the pharmacist.
Pharmacist. The legend of the pharmacist. Her name, the pharmacist's name, was Gloria Greenwich, as you know. Oh, sorry.
Of course. Yeah. No, I get it. I can sort of read your lips, Detective Riley. La 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 la.
Now, Detective Potter, quick here. Detective Riley takes Detective Potter's ear fingers out of his ear holes.
Nobody knows what Detective Potter's ear fingers are, but presumably the ones in his ears.
Detective Potter, I'm sorry to disturb your, I know that strange medical ailment that you had, the ear finger thing, yes. But I have to quickly tell you that there is a part of the story where there's a second storyteller that jumps in and starts to continue the story.
Yeah, I know. I'm
just making sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
I will unplug my ears for that, and then you should plug yours for that part.
Correct, yes. Okay. And if you don't, okay, very good. All right, continuing on. Replug your ears.
La 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 la.
So, Gloria Greenwich was the old pharmacist on Maple Street, running the only drugstore in town, and people with all different types of ailments would come to her, and one day, a man with leprosy came in to the drugstore looking for a cure.
Detective Potter unplugs his ears, and Detective Riley plugs his ears.
And the man, he was so leprous, he had advanced so far into leprosy, he had only half of his body.
The left half!
I know, Detective Riley. He had only half of his body, and it was the left half. And the man shamble hopped up to the pharmacist's counter, and he pulled himself sort of up with his left hand, because you know how the pharmacy booth is a little bit higher, and he begged the pharmacist, begged her to give him the cure for leprosy. Only the pharmacist recognized this man because they had been lovers before the man was stricken down with leprosy.
Oh, okay. Detective Potter, plug your ears, because this part's about to get scary.
Detective Potter puts his ear fingers into his ears.
And Detective Riley unplugs his ear fingers to continue the legend of Gloria Greenwich, the pharmacist on Maple Street.
Detective Riley, I did hear that part. You can skip past that part and get to the scary part.
Right. So, anyway, they used to be lovers, and this man came in pleading with her to help save him, for he had not known how he was stricken with leprosy. And Gloria Greenwich, standing on a stool to be even a little bit higher, staring down at her lover, started cackling with joy because she had given him the leprosy. In fact, all of the ailments that the townspeople were afflicted with, from blockfoots to autism to cleft lips, they all had their origins in her tasteful cabinet.
I'll take it from here, Detective Riley, because you forgot one little detail.
Oh, shoot.
You mean the tasteful medicine cabinet. Because Gloria Greenwich lived in that house on Elm Street. That spooky house, Detective Riley.
With the bars on the windows.
With the bars on the windows. And with the
spider webs.
Mysterious figure in the attic, and the creaks and the shrieks. And
yes,
she had... Legend has it, Detective Riley, that on the second floor in that house, there's a cabinet. And that cabinet, if you open it up, Detective Riley, do you know what happens? Detective Riley, if you open it up, not only do you see every horrifying thing that you've ever done in your life, but also you get afflicted with the worst possible malady that could affect you. If you're a singer, you get laryngitis. If you're a construction worker, you get clubfoot. If you're a doctor, you get water on the brain. Detective Riley, anything that affects you in the worst possible way. It's almost like Gloria Greenwich's revenge on the whole town.
The BOOreau Boys run toward one another and clutch each other in their arms out of fear.
The teeth chattering, their boots quaking, except for Detective Riley, who does not wear shoes.
The hair on Detective Riley's beard stands straight on end.
And Detective Potter's muscles seem to shrink in fright.
Detective Riley, I don't know if I even want to take on this case, but I feel like with your guidance and with your... Detective Riley, actually, now that I think of this, with your weird connection to the spirit world, are you going to be okay going on this case?
It's going to be dangerous. I think more dangerous than any case we've ever taken on, especially for me, because, God willing, I'm going to have to face these demons, however they manifest, in whatever form. And I'm going to need you, Detective Potter, to keep me grounded in this physical realm. And believe me, there's going to be plenty of work for you to do, too.
I'm going to science the hell out of this supposed haunted house.
Now, that is the case, right? It's the fact that this house is haunted.
That's a good question, Detective Riley. I feel like the case
We know the legend.
Oh, yes, that's a good point. The town is still afflicted with disease, Detective Riley. So I think the victims here are the townspeople of our own town.
Yeah, this very town that we live in.
The very town that the BOOreau Boys live in has been afflicted for years, but... since the BOOreau Boys aren't particularly good at their jobs, they have not been afflicted with any ailment that would hinder them. Or perhaps the BOOreau Boys' stupidity is their affliction, but probably not. because that's a character choice that was made long ago.
Part of the theater of the mind. Detective Potter, we know there's a lot of people out there, our townspeople, our people. They're sick, afflicted, and there's no cure available.
They're relying on us, Detective Riley. They're relying on us to solve this case and to figure out what's going on in this town.
I've got a bag of letters right here full of pleas for us to take on this case, and it's been filling up for a long time. We just have kicked the can down the road, so to speak.
Yeah, well, put it next to my bag of letters to Santa Claus, okay? And let's get down to Elm Street, Detective Riley. I think we need to start at this haunted house.
Will the BOOreau Boys find... what's her name?
Gloria Greenwich.
Is Gloria's Tasteful Medicine Cabinet really haunted?
Could it be that the cabinet is still open to the public and therefore still infecting their minds and bodies?
Will Detective Riley's spiritual connection to the undead world yield benefits to the BOOreau Boys?
And will Detective Potter's mad science be enough to contain the spread of disease and the spreading madness that may result from Detective Riley's exploration into the unknown?
Tune in next week for answers to these questions and many more on this special spooky BOOreau Boys case. If you enjoyed this episode, help the BOOreau Boys solve this case by submitting your clue at theBOOreauBoys.com. They may use it on a future episode. While you're there, why not join their Informant network and tell all your friends and family to join too? But don't tell the ghosts and the criminals, because the BOOreau Boys are coming for them.